Alright, welcome to a new live coding session on Uno Platform. This time we will be looking into a very fun API that was recently added into Chromium browsers. And this API allows PWA applications to look even more like desktop applications by utilizing the title bar area. Which is something that is quite cool because it makes your application feel more part of the desktop OS, and plus it also gives you additional pixels to work with, so you can even more customize the look of your application and make it look even more beautiful. So this blog post was published by the Microsoft Edge team just a few days ago, and it actually shows the feature in action. So you have this native application window where you have the title bar going right to the edge, and then a web application which has to use this default title bar, which is not nice. So instead, the goal of this feature is to give you these additional pixels around this, and that works not only on Windows but also on macOS, where you get the controls on the left side, and on the right side you get the empty space. Maybe there's actually a link to WebDev and list apart. I think those showed it. So here you have macOS version where you have the controls on the left, but on the right side you have the space where you can put anything. Basically it's something that then native web applications are using, where they can actually reach into the title bar area, but it wasn't previously possible with PWAs, which is something that's very nice to add now. So the goal of this live coding session is to take this feature and add it into Uno Platform, so that even Uno Platform developers who are building WebAssembly applications can take advantage of this feature and do so in a manner that's convenient, because it will be the same approach as we know from Windows, so UWP and WinUI. So the goal is that we try to map this API to something we know from Windows, and basically we'll be able to use it the same way as on Windows, or at least that's a goal, of course. So let's try and make this happen. So the first thing about this API is that it requires the application to be a PWA application, so it has to be installable, which by default is not happening for Uno Platform applications. So we'll have to try to make that work. So let's go. Actually, I will first create a branch for this. So let's call this branch dev Messy and window control overlay API. So this will be our branch for this one. Actually, let's push it first into upstream, which is so we have it marked. And now I will switch to the branch and open in Uno. So first off, I definitely need to set my target framework to be WebAssembly, because we will be exclusively focused on WebAssembly right now, because it should be possible to utilize this approach in WPF and GTK probably, but it would have to call into the native APIs on Windows, which would be kind of harder to do. So let's focus on WebAssembly, because that's the API. The API is JavaScript based. So I will switch to WebAssembly target here, and let's do it. Actually cleaned up the repository, so it's completely empty right now, and it probably needs to be rebuilt from scratch so it compiles, but that's not a big problem, I think. So first off, we need to make our sample application a PWA, and we have a documentation for it here on docs.platfrom.uno. There is PWA somewhere. PWA. Okay, progressive. Oh no, it's not there. I was sure it was there. Okay, PWA manifest file. It's interesting that it doesn't. Oh, now it searches. So support for the PWA manifest file, where if you want to support it, you need to add the you need to activate. You need to add this manifest JSON file that we know from web applications into the Uno Platform app, and we do so here in the WebAssembly project. So I will take it, create a JSON manifest file. Let's see, so JSON. It's called manifest JSON. And as you may notice, I'm not creating that manifest file inside of the www root folder, but instead in the root of the project. And the reason is that Uno Platform will take care of making that file part of the application package automatically. So we don't have to have it in www root, and we can do it. We can let Uno Platform take care of it. So let's wait for it to fully load. I will add this here. Call it manifest JSON. So this CSproj property tells the bootstrapper to take that manifest file and copy it into the resulting output folder, and also make that manifest linked inside of the HTML result. So we will see it in action right when it compiles. But what we need, okay, we need to make sure that the it must not be put in www root folder, as you can see, and it has to be content, so it's content file, so it's fine. And I will just go here and copy this sample manifest file so that I don't have to write it manually. So the important thing for the window controls overlay API is this section that tells the system that we want to make the title bar customizable. For samples, let's call it sample app for development. Okay, so there's a theme color and background color. We don't care about those right now, but so I will actually remove those. This is the important part. So display override, that's what we need. All right, so now I will actually rebuild the solution so that we know it compiles, and then I will run it locally. So this should enable us to actually use window controls overlay feature. The display manifest member has to be set, and then we should be able to see it. Yeah. So let's wait for build. I will just continue reading this. So app is opened in PWA window. There's a condition, includes this. and is running as a desktop app. Yeah. So that's fine. So hopefully this will work. Let's wait for the build. So in UWP we have some title bar customization. So UWP Title Bar Optimization, and we will have to kind of mock or mimic those APIs using the Windows Control Overlay API. So in UWP you can also override the default title bar, and there are many ways to do it, because we have 3 different versions of WinUI, WinUI 2, WinUI 3, and Windows App SDK, which is the latest one. And Windows App SDK is using kind of weird combination of window and app window classes, so it's kind of more complex to set up. So I will, for the first initial implementation, focus mainly on the UWP side of things, so that we have the basic approach covered, and then we'll expand it to WinUI as well. So basically, let's see. Let's extend to, extend view into title bar API. So when you set this property, it means that your application will flow into the title bar. So it will overlap with the title bar, and in that moment you need to make sure that the area which is covered by the system control, system buttons, is empty, so that you don't they don't overlap your application content. Let's see, this is building, so far so good, no errors there. So that's a positive development. Okay. The core application view title bar class gives you access to the height of the title bar, its visibility, and the system overlay left inset and right inset. Those are very important because they tell you the area that's covered by the system controls. So the minimize and maximize and close buttons. So this area needs to be handled separately by you. And there, I think there is something similar in the window overlay API as well. So let's see. So when you move the content into the title bar, right, title bar area rect, okay. So this should give us the actual title bar area. Let's see. So this API returns a rect that gives us the current geometry of the title bar area. So that should be excluding the window control buttons and PWA buttons. So this area should be returned by the API. Let's see. This built already? No, it's not built yet, but it's almost there. Let's see what happens. So we will use this this API to the title bar area API to get the system overlay left inset and right inset. This way we'll know, and also height. So we will know how high is the title bar, how far into the left and to the right are the controls and the right controls. And we will also be able to see the layout metrics changing. So that's based on the API that geometry change should give us the changes of geometry when the title bar changes. So if you resize or move anything or something like that. So that should be good. It's still downloading and building. Let's wait for it still. And let's for now check this documentation. Okay, so there's a demo which we can try out. So if I install the application. So, okay, the application is installed. And you can see that by clicking this button, you can hide the title bar and let the application flow into the title bar automatically. So now it's covering the title bar area completely. And if I do this, the title bar will reappear. So that's pretty nice. The interesting thing is that the user is responsible for deciding if the application extends to the title bar area or not. So it's kind of different from UWP, where the developer sets the attribute to extend or not extend. So this has to be handled differently. Probably it means that on WebAssembly, this property will be just read-only, and we will not be able to influence it from the code. Okay, so right. I will set this as startup project and start it like this. And let's see what happens. So it should be up and running in a moment. I'm not sure why it's actually rebuilding completely. Doesn't really make sense. And very unnecessary. But anyway, let's continue with this. So there's another aspect to this, and that's dragging. So if I search for drag, it's not here, but I think I saw it in the other blog post, web dev tutorial. So dragging. So this API tells the browser that the area covered by a div is draggable. So it will allow you to move the window. So like here, this area is draggable. This is an actual control which is not draggable. And now this is draggable and this is not. So this feature allows you to drag the window. It's not directly part of the window controls overlay feature. It's actually a separate feature of JavaScript, but it allows you to, it can be utilized in this context as well. So let's see. Should be built any moment now. And let's see what happens. So we should now have a PWA application that can be installed and which can then give us the feature of moving the content into the title bar, and we'll see how that works. the application is starting up. So here we have our sample application, and I will install it as an application because otherwise you would not see anything. And here we have the app installed. Open it to taskbar for now. So now you can see the classic samples app, but if I click this, it now flows into the title bar area, which is interesting because it breaks the UI kind of. But the problem here is that the application is not optimized for this, and we can now no longer drag the application window only on this small area, and also we don't handle it in any way, and we cannot see it in C#. So we have to adjust this feature so that we will be able to actually adjust this and drag the window again. So this is a very basic functionality. So now let's extend it a little bit. So first off, what was the name of the API here? So system overlay left inside. So these APIs we'll need to implement on WebAssembly. So let's create a new version of core application view title bar, and it's going to be about WebAssembly. Yes. And now here we'll be implementing those properties. So first off, the easiest one to implement will be the extend view into title bar. So on WebAssembly, we cannot programmatically force the application to be extended into title bar. We have to let the user do it. But what we can do is to check if the user has extended the application into title bar. So we'll do that first. I'll just copy paste this whole thing here. I will just let me use file scope namespaces. Just do a little bit refactor. Okay, and now we'll mark this as not WASM, and here also not WASM. So now the first property to implement is the extend view within title bar. So I'll just comment everything else out and leave just this thing. What is this? This internal event, but it's used only on Android, I would say. So let's remove it for now. And like this. So let's remove this away. Actually, let's remove the commented out code because we have it in the other file. And now let's focus on just this part. So, as I mentioned, we cannot programmatically set this value. So I will, instead of the setter, I will just put here a so if this dot log. Yeah, this is exactly what I need. So it should be a warning. And I will say that on WebAssembly we cannot move content into title bar. So like this. Okay, like this. PWA window. So this will be kind of a warning to the user that tells them that it cannot be done. Just let's wait for this to give us the suggestions. All right. Log level warning. Slog. Why is it complaining? Okay, it's fine now. So the setter is done, and now the getter. For the getter, we will be actually able to check this value. So let's see how it's done in JavaScript. So I'll go to Navigator, Window Controls Overlay API, into the docs, and here we should be able to see somewhere how to check if it's actually active right now. So not like this, but here. So there is get visible. So this API will be what we need. So if this is true, it means that we are extending into the title bar. So let's create a TypeScript file first, where we will put this logic. So here, and WebAssembly, TypeScript. So the core application view title bar is under Windows application model core. Core application view title bar, yes. And here I will just copy the basic structure here. So this will be application model core, and this will be core application view title bar. Let's give it this. So now I'll put here well, his support is very close, so I will do not here, but it's called extend view into title bar. Is into title bar, and title bar, this is the same casing. And I will, so first we need to do a feature check to see if the window controls overlay feature is actually available. And we can do it here. So if window controls overlay, so if window controls overlay, we'll need the TypeScript definitions for this as well. Let's see if we can find those. TypeScript. Hopefully there will be some TypeScript definitions. So all GitHub, TypeScript. Okay, this is what we need. So I'll just take this and put it into types. It's window controls overlay. Window controls overlay. Oh, I created a file with the name, not the folder. Let's delete it again. So it's gonna be VICG. Come on. Window controls overlay, and there, what's it called? They call it window controls overlay DTS. Controls overlay DTS. Invoke.js. Boom. Just put this here. So this should be fine now. And let's see if it's available automatically, or we have to do some JavaScript magic. So okay, so it's available. So now we can check if it's supported or not. And if it is supported, we can return navigator overlay visible, or else, or we just return false. So like this should be enough. All right, this. So this API, I will just use it now from C#. So I will go here and I'll call this so string.js type. So it's going to be Windows application model core application view title bar. Thank you, Copilot, and now let's call it here. Try parse WebAssembly runtime dot invoke.js, and it's gonna be JS type dot is extended into title bar. Close it, invoke. So now this will just let me put this on window. So I will let's undo this lambda. Let's make it a method because it's gonna be hard to read otherwise. So if we are able to parse this, is extended like this. Well, in fact, it's gonna be easy as a lambda. Let's do it again. So if it's extended and is extended like this. So this should be it. So we try parse. Okay, so I forgot one parenthesis here. So like this should be good. So we tried parse the response from WebAssembly is extended into title bar, and then if it's actually extended, we return that it is extended. So I just do this try parse to make sure that if something else is returned, like null or undefined, it is still handled properly. Alright, so this should be hopefully enough. And let's now create some sample page on which we will be able to see this in action. So what did we update here? Oh, let's keep the change there, but this one, yeah, we don't need this. So now in the samples app, let's create a sample in the window. Well, there is a windowing sample. Window tests, not here. Windowing. Not here. Where do we have it? In Microsoft UI controls. Windowing, let's search for it. Windowing. Maybe GitHub search would be faster. here we have still nothing here. So it's Windows UI XAML window test set background. Okay, so it's set background. So I will create a new test in the window test and call it extend into title bar. Like this. Come on, let's load. It takes years for this to load, always. So this is added there, but it did not update the proj items, unfortunately. Did it happen now or not? Oh, it did not. So this is this annoying bug in Visual Studio that in many cases, when you add something into the shared project, it does not update the project items, so that file is not actually included. So that's very annoying. Let's see, window, set background. I'll just compile this, copy and paste this. And this will be extended to the title bar. And again, no, window, extend the title bar, extend the title bar. So now we should have, this will force Visual Studio to include that XAML file into our compilation. And let's do something like this. Let's make a button which will have a click handler, is extended click. And this button will just tell us if we are extended or not. Some padding. Now let's make this nicer. So remove this. This. Remove all these lines. So it's gonna be private void. Frozen now. Void. Extended click. Check. Okay. And this will be just a simple thing, so it will get the core application title bar. So again, this API will be UWP specific, which is not a problem for us because we're focusing right now on the simple UWP application implementation. But when we want to extend it to support WinUI, core application is done there, so we have to deal with that some other way. There's probably some analogous API in WinUIs that can be used. Okay, why is it frozen still? Come on. Alright. So, do we get any suggestions here? No, I will just write it myself. Windows, application model core. Is the core application in there? It should be. Why is it not giving us any suggestions? Let's do it like this. And do core, so title bar. Yeah, okay, so it's not here, it's a core window, core application view. Get for current view title bar. Alright, it's like this. So we will display this value in a content dialog, or message dialog is fine. The IntelliSense is extremely slow recently, so sometimes I just ignore it and write the usings myself. UI pop-ups. I think that's the right one. And now the content should be title. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the Copilot is very helpful here. So it will actually give us the whole thing automatically, so just don't have to write it. Although I will just extract this into this extended field, variable. And now I will just display it. Let's make this asynchronous. And we are done here. So now let's just make this a sample page by adding the sample attribute, which we will put it into windowing category. And that should be all we need to actually test this. So I will start this up and we'll see what happens. Okay, starting up. So what are these CSS variables? Let's see. This is just for CSS styling purposes, but we will not need that, as we will do all the styling and display using XAML. Technically, this is not an issue for us. Okay, so we're still building. Oh, I didn't wait this. Well, it is not a big deal because it will still work, but for later. I have this await there, and maybe actually will fail the build. We'll see. So for the next part, I will focus on adding these properties. So the left inset, right inset, and height, which should be quite easy to get using the geometry change event and the title bar erect. So this should give us height as well as X and width. Although actually, how do we compare the... That's what we'll have to compare this value to the width of the window to get the actual right inset. Because it's gonna be the difference between width of the window, the title bar width, and the left inset width. Let's run it. Hopefully it's not gonna take much more. Right. So now in the windowing sample, I will just open it in PWA. Here. Refresh. So in the PWA, we have windowing sample. Windowing sample. And in there, extend it to the title bar. So now we are not extended, so we should get false. And if we extend, we get true. So now this part works, which is nice. So we are able to see this now. So now let's add the other things. So the geometry change event, so we know when we moved into extension or not, and also the insets. First off, let's build this part in JavaScript. So first, static, the title bar rect. Oh, well, let's do it like this. Get left inset width. Will return a double or a number. So if navigator window controls overlay exists, otherwise we return 0. Return navigator window controls overlay. Oh, this one is missing the definition of direct. Oh no, it's not. Oh, get title bar erect. Yeah, this one. So X. This will get us the X coordinate. Or left coordinate. Maybe it's the same thing. It should be the same thing. And the right inset width must be and I will get height. So get height will be just the height of this thing. And the right inset is more interesting because we will need to compare it to the width of the window. So window. Now the question is if it's inner or outer width. Well, it's a bit tricky. It shouldn't probably contain the scroll bars because it does not contain them. So I will use outer width. I will adjust if needed. So let's do it like this. Rect. So this way we should have the actual right inset. And finally the height. So all these three are now ready in the JavaScript side, and let's implement them in C#. So first make a sample for this. So button, click, get metrics. And I will now do a text block. Let's do a let's make this a stack panel. Sync 8 text block. And I will create a text block with several runs. So, oh, okay. First one will be run for the left inset. Then there will be one for right inset. And finally one for the height. So when we click this button, we will reach out into those TypeScript APIs to get those values. So first left inset run text. We'll equal that to title bar, and then do title bar left system override left inset to string right inset system override right inset, and finally the height. So height. So this should be displaying the values right now. Hello, exotic master car cat. How are you doing? Are you building some Uno Platform applications? Let's see. Title bar. So now let's go to the actual implementation. Core application, view title bar, WebAssembly. Assembly, and here we have those properties. So first, height, system overlay inset, And system override instance, right. Good. So let's go through those one by one. So first off, height. So I will be calling double try bars. Well, basically the same thing as here. So it's gonna be similar to this. So it's gonna be height, get height, and if we get it, then we will return it. Otherwise, we return just 0, 0. And the same thing for the others. Oh, not like this. This. So get system overlay inside left inside. These lines are becoming quite long, so let me refactor this. We want to be nice citizens here. So let's do the proper getter. Var left height string. And then we parse it and return it. This is much better. So get var left inset string. And the same thing for the right insert, so just do copy, paste, and replace. So, oh, okay, what did I do? It's gonna be left by right. Base. Okay, so left, right. Just check if I did the right naming here. So here it's left insert with right insert. Right. So I'll just do it like this. Get right insert and left insert. Oh, I'll close it. Core application title bar TS. Get left insert and get right insert. So these are all covered. Maybe let's implement the event as well while we're at it, so we have more to see when it compiles, because the compilation takes some time, so it makes sense to do more things and then see them working. So this will be the one that we need. So this event. What is this? Already contains definition, because I didn't mark this as not WASM, so okay, maybe like this, that makes more sense. So if not WASM, and we'll move these properties up here. And I'll remove also the event there. Now I'll move this one up here, and this one I will do and if. That should be it. So now for this event, we have a very nice feature for this. Let's see if it's stops complaining. It should stop complaining soon. So here the event. And the type event handler. Oh, I took the wrong event. So it's not this one, but the second one. This one. Is visible changed still there? Here we go. So let's uncomment this. Oh, actually we'll add these usings manually, so we don't have to wait for IntelliSense. Windows Foundation, then Windows Application 4. Well, it's the same API. Okay, we should be good to go. Now, because this will need a subscribe event, so we'll create a field, a read-only, restart, stop event wrapper for a typed event handler of this type. Very long definition, and we call it how it's called, layout matrix change. Layout matrix change wrapper, and then in the constructor we will just new it up, and it has 3 parameters. First is on when the first subscriber is subscribed to it, and the second is to unsubscribe. So on layout metrics started, and on layout metrics ended. Let's call it like this. So the first one will be started. Private void on layout metrics ended. And finally, just adjust this event to use this wrapper. So add handler value. So the nice thing about this is that this wrapper takes care of making sure that when the first subscriber is subscribed, it starts watching for that event happening on the TypeScript side, and when the last subscriber is unsubscribed, it will stop listening to that event. So it's saving memory, avoiding any potential issues. So this should be all good. And now, in this area, we will have to start listening to that event. And I will just take this from some other API. So, for example, devices, sensors, gyrometer, I think this is very similar. So something like this we'll need. So here, we'll have an event, a method for this. So start layout metrics and stop layout metrics. So the start stop is actually better naming, so I will update what I have here. So stopped, or start layout metrics changed, and stop layout metrics changed. And I will name the same way the TypeScript methods. So start layout metrics changed and stop layout metrics changed. So now, in this area, I will just do this. So if we don't have window controls overlay, then we just return and don't do anything. And if we do have it, then we will subscribe to it. So what was the code there? Metrics. So like this is exactly what we need. And we will need to notify the C# side of things. So for this purpose, we will also need a public static method that will be available from the outside. So I will just copy this approach from Geometer, for example, because it's going to be the same thing, just I will just avoid writing it myself again. So like this. So this preserve attribute is needed. And it's a static method. So we will be reaching out to a instance, static instance of core application view title bar. How do we get this? So there's this instance. Okay, so we can actually do it like this, because we currently have just one window, so there is much easier to do. So I'll do title bar, core application view, application view, foreground view, title bar. Oh, this is not the one that I need. Again then. So it's core application. What is this? Core application view. What is this? We need to have. Okay. Oh, right. Get current view. This is the one. Forgot how the API was called. And it got frozen. Let's wait for it. Alright. So core application, get current view, title bar, and now we have the instance on which we will have a on reading change. Let's do privates void on layout metrics changed, and we'll just trigger the event. So event invoke, so this, and now there are no arcs for this event, so that's all we need. So on layout metrics changed, and we should be golden. So dispatch layout metrics changed. Now we need to call the start layout metrics changed here. We call stop layout metrics changed here. Make this lambda. Good. And finally, we will need to notify or trigger this method from TypeScript. So for this we need to do two things. First off, in the UI project here, we have to set up how's it called? Linker config, linker definition WebAssembly. So here, interesting. So in a similar manner as the sensors classes, we will need to set it up for the core application view title bar. So it's going to be this namespace. this. Type full name. Core application view title bar. Hello, dispatch layout changed. Yeah, Copilot again saves the day. So this just tells the linker that the method should not be linked out because it will be called from TypeScript but nowhere else. So this just tells it, hey, we need to keep this in the assembly no matter what. So these methods should be static. No, it don't have to be static. Just is this different naming. Stop layout. Metrics changed. Nice. And we are done. So this now provides us with the event. And now in the TypeScript part, we need to trigger the C# code. And we again will steal it from the devices, sensors, gyrometer, for example, because it's the same thing. So we need this definition of that method. So let's do the layout matrix change with no parameters. Okay. Why are you complaining to me? Okay, it's fine now. And then we'll need to set it up. So when we're starting the layout matrix changed, we'll make sure that it's set up. So if this dot layout dispatch layout matrix changed, let's do, oh, we don't use underscores in JavaScript, so if not, then we'll bind it to the static method. So bind static, Windows, application, model, core, application, view, title, bar. It's a mouthful. Dispatch, layout, metrics changed. So it should be Windows, application model core, core application view title bar, dispatch layout metrics changed. Alright. And now on geometry change. Now we implement a method that handles this. Oh, this is not really the right format for this. So it's gonna be a pub private static on geometry change, and we'll just trigger this. So dispatch layout metrics change. This should be, I think, more than good. It's actually called this way, so it is a static, so I will not be using this in this case. I will just use core application view title bar and on geometry change, and then we call it here. And the same thing we do when stopping, we just remove the event listener. And we're done. Yeah, I think we're done here. So this should be the event implemented now. And finally, let's use it in here. Make a toggle button. Oh, that didn't work. Subscribe to layout metrics. So Well, I will create a. I'll just name it somehow. So. Without metrics toggle button, and now in the code behind I will implement it. So private void, what is it? How do we also checked? What is the event format of checked? Toggle button, checked. So it's a rotate event handler, so nothing too special. So on layout metrics changed. Upload, unchecked. We'll do the same. So we'll just create a method in the code behind. Check center, routed event arcs. And now we'll get the current checked value. So is checked. So if it's checked, then we will subscribe to the event, and otherwise we will just unsubscribe. And to do it more elegantly, let's do it like this. So unloaded event. So when the page unloads, we'll make sure that we unsubscribe always. Oh, I just probably broke Visual Studio completely. Alright, it survived, surprisingly. So in here I will always unsubscribe. So core application, current view, title bar, layout. I'm getting no intelligence whatsoever. Let's do a method here. That's core application, view, title bar, checked arcs. And we'll just update the metrics. So let's move this into a separate method. This should be called from here. It will be lambda. So this is the manual update, and this will be the event-based update. So if it's checked, we will just subscribe to title bar, layout, metrics changed, with this handler. And we'll always make sure to unsubscribe so that we don't accidentally subscribe 2 times or something like that. That should be all good. So if we're lucky, this should be working now. I made a lot of changes, so it's quite possible that I missed something, but hopefully at least something will work. So let's see. Let's try to build it. With this in hand, we should be able to have a basic application view title bar, and then we'll try to do one more thing at least, and that's the dragging part, just to see if we can mark an area of the application as draggable. So in Windows there is the set title bar API, which marks an element to be draggable with the window. Still kind of building, so this is the problem right now. So when we are in here, we cannot drag the window, but we can do it with the feature disabled. So we need to enable a way to make this draggable again. Still building here. It's always rebuilding completely, which is kind of annoying. I'm not sure why, but finally it's gonna be completed. Okay, so the interesting thing here is that when you set an element to be the title bar, it will make the system handle the inputs. So you will no longer be able to actually use these elements, for example. And to avoid that, you have to put them in a separate UI element that's on top of it with the higher Z index, and then it should work. But we'll have to see how it behaves in the browser. Still taking some time to build. Okay, here we go. So reload in the PWA. That's the one we need. And here we go. So now, if we go to the window link section, I will also open the DevTools so we see what's happening there. Extending the title bar. We have some error, but it's not related. We'll get metrics, and we can see that there is no left inset, which makes sense because we extend completely to the edge and there is no left controls on Windows. But on the right side we have 253 pixels, effective pixels. I'm not sure if that's correct, but it should be. If I open it like this, we should have 0, 0, and 825. Well, if the title bar is not set, we should probably return 0 as well. So I will just change that afterwards. But if I subscribe to this, you can see that the changes are reflected immediately, which is great. Okay, so that's a good thing. Will not extend it now. Oops, yeah. Okay, so this and this. So switching between these two modes is working. And we get metrics when we click on it. So this is good. I think this is working now. And we extend it. Yeah, this is fine. So this handles the problematic part here. So now we have metrics, we have layout metrics event, and we now try to do the dragability as well. That's the last thing I want really to finish this time. Maybe then we'll return to it in some next live coding and to implement some additional features. One thing, for the color of this area, we actually need to use another API, which is title bar color, which is already supported, but it actually sets the color of this area automatically. So you can see that now it's red. If I change to something like this, it's violet. And so the title bar color is matching the theme color of the application. So this way you can influence the color of the title bar. So we don't have to implement this separately. We don't have to implement it for the core for the title bar, but it's handled automatically by the feature. Reset default. Okay, this all works. Right? So let's go to this, and let's try to implement the set title bar feature. So this is on window itself, and it basically tells a UI element to become draggable. And technically there should be one draggable element at one time only. So I will check the documentation here. So there should be these properties should be set on this. I will move into Uno UI CSS, and then I will create a class for this specifically. Title bar area, let's call it. And we add these CSS properties, which should tell the area to be draggable. Okay, so now we apply this class to the element that we set as the title bar. But we need to make sure that we change this whenever the element is changed. So we unset it when we set a different title bar element. So I will create a private read-only thread disposable. Yes, good idea. Copilot, and I will call it title bar subscription. So this nice little thing will automatically make sure that the class is removed from the previously set element. I think this is the namespace. We'll see. I will not wait for IntelliSense to wake up. So set title bar. Okay, we don't need this for the other platforms, we need it only for WebAssembly. So set title bar partial value. There'll be a partial set partial method that will take care of this. And we will implement it in the WebAssembly specific file. So I'll take this as well. And also take this. And now, so the title bar subscription will be set while we are setting the title bar. Set title bar. Just take this definition. Okay. So when we're setting a UI element to be, that's nice. Oh, this is not correct. So let's do it again. So if value is not null. So we always unsubscribe the previous one. So title bar subscription disposable set to null. So we always unsubscribe the previous one that was set. And if it's not null, if we're setting a new element, then we will set classes. Set CSS classes. What's the difference between these two? I guess it's the same thing. Oh, okay. Set CSS classes. And then we will set it to be what I was saying. It was title bar area. And for the subscription, we then unsubscribe from the previous one. So disposable. Create. And like this, we will do value unset CSS classes title bar area. So when the next one comes, we will unset the CSS classes so it's no longer draggable. And that's about it, I think. So that should be enough. But what we will then need to do is to actually apply it in the sample set. So in our nice sample, wait for it to load. Okay, finally. So I will create a button that will set the draggable area. So set title bar, click, set title bar, and in this handler, I will actually perform the change. So title bar, channel center. And now in here, we'll set, this is almost good. We need window current set title bar. Yes, that's what we need, but we need to get the UI element somewhere. And the UI element in the samples app would be the header of the samples. So let's search for where it's implemented. So samples, UI tests, views, controls, sample chooser control. So I think here is the relevant code. So this area, this content area, this is the header. I'll put here a grid of the same spot below the content. I'll just add it a background of transparent. And this area will act as my title bar. So I will call it title bar grid. And now in this area, I will make this available as a public. Now the question is if we are able to access this in our code. So let's see. Is this available or not? Yeah, it is. Okay. So how do we approach this? We need to get the sample chooser control that's on the main page. So sample control. So let's make it simple for now. So here in the, we'll take the current window. Or maybe like this. Sample chooser control will make it a singleton, which is not really nice, but for now it's sufficient. Or actually, let's do it even different way. The app contains window current content, contains a frame which contains main page. So let's do it the proper way. So here, now here, not here, this area. So, window current content. It's frozen again. No. Okay. So now we convert this to a frame. Root frame. The frame contains the main page. So main page. And do we have access to main page? I don't think so. We probably don't have it. So we just make it page, root frame, content, and on the main page we need to get the content. Main page content is the sample chooser control. So now with the sample chooser control, we will set its title bar element. And this title bar element will be our newly created area. So element, title bar element. Just point it towards that area. Title bar grid. So then we should be all good. We have caused some error here, but ignore it. And let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. I think this could work if we're lucky. So let's see. Build it, which will take a long time, but we can wait for the last attempt. So the problem here will be the no drag areas, and I'm not sure how we will approach this, but we will improve that probably in the next live coding. This means that if you specify an area as draggable, anything that's inside of it, it will not be interactive, and you will not be able to actually interact with it by pointer or, well, probably keyboard, yes, but not pointer. So we'll need to adjust this somehow. So this no drag approach will be important, but we need to see how to apply it to the UWP way of doing things, so that we don't have to specify with some special method what is not draggable, specifically for WebAssembly, because we want to have the code ideally be really fully cross-platform, not require any platform specifics. Let's see what happens. Closing in. Build is finishing almost. Build failed. Oh no! What happened? Something goes a semicolon. Where? Where? Okay, this is confusing. Okay, I'm missing using directive 4. Am I? UI element is should be known here. Oh, right here. Okay, that makes sense. So there should be using Windows UI. XAML. again. Why is it rebuilding? Ah, very unnecessary wait. Because we didn't change anything, so I didn't see the point, but we just need to wait it out. Alright, so in the meantime, let's check out the API again. So what we implemented today is the main informational part of the API. So we get the geometry, we get the title bar area, we know if it's visible or not. So all this is now working, and we will still need some additional work on the dragging part, because I'm pretty sure that we will get the area draggable, but the controls on top of it will not be interactive. So for that purpose, we will need to adjust this somehow. And the way to do it will be to mark the ones, the controls on top of it as interactive, but we need to figure out a way to make only those which are interactive actually not draggable, but anything else on top of the area to be draggable still. So that's gonna be interesting. A simple way would be to mark every child as not draggable, but if you were to have multiple grids inside of that draggable grid, it will break, because you would not be able to drag anything, as the grid would be overlapping the outer grid which is draggable. This is going to be quite tricky, I think. Yeah, I've also forgot to fix that issue with right inset being not 0. Okay. So, in case the overlay is hidden, we shouldn't return anything else then. Anything else. So I will just do it like this. This will be the same as the support check, plus it will check if it's actually visible. So this is a good thing. All right. So I will keep this change in, and we should be almost ready to see the sample application now. And I will push these changes in the meantime. So what we did. So here we have, first I will push the sample. So this, and this. So test. Extend the title bar sample. So this will cover the test part of things, and after that we have the actual implementation. So let's call it feed to title bar awesome. Assembly. Extending to title bar or WebAssembly. that should be reasonable naming. Commit this and we'll push it afterwards. But now our sample app is already running, so we will be able to test it. Come on. Okay, launched it several times. So now let's wait for the application to launch. Here we go. So the area should not be draggable now because we didn't set it. But if we do, not here, but in windowing, extended title bar. So it's extended. If we set it, we should be able to drag it. So this is good. So we can drag the window by this area now. But as you can see, it's no longer interactive. It's behaving as a window title bar. So these elements are no longer doing anything useful. So let's see if we can just test this here. Yeah, because we need to make it like this. So if we select, for example, this one and set it to be not draggable, how do we do it? Styles. Let's set this whole thing as not draggable. So here in style, set package. What is the name of the property? App region. Come on. No track. So now this area is not draggable. If you do this, it's no longer draggable, but even the area behind it is not draggable, so that's not good. And if we don't set the background file, it's still happening the same way. So this will be tricky. If we disable it, okay, now it's not draggable at all. Oh, it's draggable now. Okay. So this area is draggable and not interactive. But if I set this button to be draggable, so region, no drag. So now this is draggable. Okay, this is draggable and this is interactive. So we only need to selectively set the elements that need to be not draggable to be to have no drag on them. That will be quite tricky. So let's leave that part to some future live coding because we did quite a lot today. We did implement most of the properties of core view application title bar. So we moved quite fast forward, and we'll just need this last draggability part to implement the next time. It shouldn't be impossible. Ideally, we'll be targeting the controls to be not draggable and just leave panels to be draggable instead. That could be enough. Alternatively, we could make some better logic, like keeping controls which have any background or are visible to be not draggable, and leave the other ones draggable. It's hard to say, but there should be some condition that handles the edge cases. If not, we would have to just create a custom platform specific API for this, but if we can avoid it, it would be, of course, more appropriate. Alright, so that would be everything from today's live coding. I thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time in some future live coding where we continue implementing this cool feature into WebAssembly. Thank you and have a great weekend.